And welcome everybody. This presentation is sponsored by the Texas REIAs, the largest by far network of real estate investor associations in real estate investors in the great state of Texas, with over 150,000 members, participants, and attendees going all the way back to 2003. So then why do you care and why does that matter? Well, the reason you should care is because real estate is local. Laws are local. Contracts are local. Contractors are local. Buyers and sellers and houses and everything about real estate is local. There's 30,000 YouTube videos on the internet that talk about how to invest in real estate. They all talk about how to do it anywhere. Well, how to do it anywhere is how to do it at 30,000 feet. But real estate is not bought and sold at 30,000 feet. Real estate is bought and sold at 0 feet. So if you want to know what laws apply here and which contracts to use here and which neighborhoods to invest in here and how it all works here, where do you get all that? And you get that at your local real estate investor association. And they say if you have even the very slightest interest in real estate, the very, very first thing to do is to go join your local REIA, because that's where you get plugged into local real estate investing. So welcome. We are live and we are broadcasting. If you're on GoToWebinar, you are live. If you are on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitch, you may or may not be live. But if you'd like to come to a live training, we have them all the time, multiple times a week. Just go to flipping.com/events and come and join us. So I'm going to start this presentation by answering a very common question I get when people join us, and that is where to start. Where do I get started? Because there's so many ways you can do this. The Texas REIAs and flipping.com, we do commercial, we do residential, we do active, we do passive. I participate in all four of these, all four quadrants. I love them all. They're all awesome. But the question is, where should you start? And I would say it really depends on you and what you're here to do. Why are you here? So for example, if you said, well, what I'm really looking to do is maybe replace my income, supplement my income. I want to make some money, maybe 6 figures. I'd like to make an extra $100,000. I'd like to do it relatively quickly, like over the next 12 months. If that's why you're here, I'm going to tell you, you should be flipping houses. It is the fastest way to make significant money in a relatively short amount of time. There's many ways to do it. You can even do it with no money and with no credit. We're going to talk about multiple ways to do it, even with no money and no credit. And I'm going to tell you, you have to learn how to do it with no money and no credit, whether you have money or not. And the reason is because nobody has enough money anyway. I don't have enough money. Elon Musk does not have enough money to be a real estate investor. Even if you have $500,000 in your checking account, yeah, great, good for you. Go buy a house. Okay, now you're done. Yep, that was it. All your money's in that house. Can't buy another house until you sell that house. Well, that doesn't scale. You see, you have to be prepared to do any property, to buy any property at any time at any price, right? Because you have no idea. The deal of a lifetime may land on your plate tomorrow, so you have to be ready. And how do you be ready? You got to learn how to do it either with no money or with other people's money. Well, the good news is there's 1,000 private money lenders in this network. There's people that will finance deals for you. This whole thing is set up for that. But going back to where to start, if your goal is to supplement your income or to make 6 figures in the next 12 months, I'm going to tell you, you should be flipping houses. That's the fastest way to do that. Now, if you say, but that's really not why I'm here. I'm not looking to quit my job or replace my income or make extra money. I want to build wealth. I really want to build my wealth. I want to build a nest egg so that when I retire, I've got a lot of net worth, a lot of wealth to back me up, to give me a better future. Well, if that is your goal, I would say you should be buying rental properties. Best thing that I did when I started investing in real estate 21 years ago is I bought a bunch of rental properties. And a lot of my wealth today came from that decision. That was 21 years ago. Now, just a little tangent, but let's get a little audience participation here. The real estate market, we're going to do a market update, but you know, I want to get your opinion, and opinions can't be wrong, so I'd like to get everybody to participate. What do you think? Do you think houses are kind of cheap right now or kind of expensive right now? Let's do a little vote. Who thinks houses are kind of expensive right now? Who thinks houses are kind of expensive right now? Who thinks houses are kind of cheap right now? Who thinks houses are kind of cheap? Okay, I think they are dirt freaking cheap. I am astounded when I look at the price on houses. I'm like, oh my God, they're practically giving them away. It's ridiculous. It's crazy how cheap these houses have gotten. I'm shocked, right? I've been doing this for a long time, but when I look at the houses and what they're costing right now, I'm astounded at how cheap they are. But you know what? Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. I want you to ask somebody else for their opinion, somebody that you trust. In fact, I want you to go to the person you trust more than anybody else in the world. And I want you to ask their opinion, because you may not listen to me, but I know you're going to listen to this person, the person you trust more than anyone in the world. I want you to ask them, what do you think of house prices? So who should you ask? Here's who I want you to ask. I want you to ask future you. Okay, I want you to ask yourself 20 years in the future, what do you think of home prices back in Dallas in 2024. And you know what future you is going to tell you? I guarantee what they're going to tell you is, oh my God, do you realize you could buy houses in Dallas, Texas for less than $3 million a piece? You should have bought them all. What was wrong with you? Yeah. 21 years ago, I bought myself a bunch of houses, mostly in downtown Austin, Texas. And I paid ridiculous prices for those houses. And everybody thought they were ridiculous prices. Some of these houses I paid like $125,000 for, some like $150,000. I think I spent up to $175,000. I know, for downtown any sort of houses, I know, ridiculous, right? Ridiculous, yeah. Well, those houses are now selling for $750,000, $850,000, $650,000. One of them I'm about to sell for $1.2 million. And one thing I've recognized for the last 21 years is everybody always says the same thing. Oh my God, houses are so expensive. They're always so expensive, okay? Next year, they're gonna be so much more expensive. And next year, but whatever you think about houses right now, you compare it to 20 years from now, 20 years ago. And 20 years from now, they're gonna look at the houses right now, right? And they're gonna say the exact same thing, right? About the houses right now versus 20 years from now. The exact same difference, the exact same difference. So when's the best time to plant a tree, folks? When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? That would be now. That would be now. So now is the time to plant trees. You should be buying rental properties now, next year, next year, next year, continuously, okay? Now, that's how you build wealth, and it's a great way to build wealth. But you know, if you say, but that's still not why I'm here. I'm not here looking for that. I'm not looking at that. I want to make money with my money. I already have a pile of money, but I want to make money with my money, and I want to do something better than the stock market. Okay, that's easy. Here's what you should be doing. You should be investing in commercial syndications. Oops, sorry, I screwed up my slide. Let me try that again. You should be investing in commercial syndications, okay? Wealthy people do not invest in the stock market. The stock market's called public equity. Wealthy people invest in private equity, okay? Private equity. The most common private equity, commercial real estate, private equity, okay? Why? Because it's on average twice the return of the stock market and half the risk. So if somebody told you there was an alternative to the stock market that on average is twice the return and half the risk, you'd never go back to the stock market. And nobody that ever goes into private equity ever goes back to the stock market. They just don't. Now, it is not public, right? Anybody can invest in Apple Computer, right? It's really right there in the paper, right there in the stock market. It's really easy, right? And everybody knows about it. It's very easy to do. Well, the best stuff is not the easy stuff. The best stuff is the stuff you have to go behind the curtains. You got to know the guy with the deal, okay? So private equity is investing in private investments with private individuals, not publicly traded investments. So why do people do that? Because on average, it's twice the return and half the risk. And by the way, I'm not pitching anything tonight. I'm not selling you anything, so I'm not really trying to talk you into any of these things. I'm just kind of giving you general information. But if you say that's still not why I'm here, and by the way, just one other comment on this. Financial planners hate commercial real estate. They despise commercial real estate. So if you ever go to your financial advisor and say, what do you think about investing in commercial syndications? You know what they're going to say? Oh, you don't want to do that. This is a bad idea. This is a really bad idea. You know why they hate it so much? Because 100% of their clients have figured it out. They lose 100% of the clients. They never go back, like never go back. I haven't invested in the stock market in 20 years. But if you say that's still not why I'm here because I'm ready to do the big deals. I don't want to make $100,000 a year. I want to make $1 million, $2 million, $5 million a year. That's why I'm here. Well, if that's why you're here, you should be sponsoring syndications. That's where the biggest money is, sponsoring syndications, right? That's where you make $1 million per deal, $2 million, $4 million, $5 million per deal. So it is the big money. Now, here's the only catch. Syndications are typically 5-year deals. So it is big money, but it's not fast money. You're not going to get $1 million in a year. You're going to get $1 million over 5 years. So if you're doing commercial syndications, every year you're starting 2 or 3 of these things, and over a period of 5 years, you get paid 1, 2, 5, whatever million per deal, and then you have a pipeline. That's how you make millions of dollars a year. Now, most people get started here. Great. Now, I'm going to tell you, regardless of where you get started, in my opinion, everybody should own rental properties, buy rental properties. I have kind of the Bluebell ice cream philosophy. Their philosophy is, you know, we eat all we can and we sell the rest. You know, my philosophy with houses is I keep all I can and I sell the rest. I can't keep them all, right, because I got to make some money too, but I keep as many as I can. And most of my wealth came from just doing that over 20 years. And you know, if you're investing over 20 years, it really doesn't matter if the market's going up or down or sideways. It really doesn't matter. I'm not investing with the idea that the house is going to go up in the next year. I'm investing with the idea that the house is going to go up over the next 20 years. And everything is going to go up in 20 years. Now, I will also say that once you have more money than you need to pay your bills, you're going to want to make money with your money. So you're definitely going to want to learn about commercial syndications. It takes a little education. It's not like publicly trading. It takes some special knowledge. And then once you invest in commercial syndications, typically you put $50,000 in, you get $100 back. You put $100,000 in, you get $200 back. And you can use your IRA to do it or your own money to do it. And when you put $100 in, you get $200 back. That's super cool. But then you realize the guy you invested the $100 with, he made $1 million plus. And you're going to watch him do it, and you're going to know exactly how he does it. So you're going to say, I kind of want to be that guy. And then eventually you're going to want to be that guy. So this network provides training, support, resources, investment opportunities, money, pretty much everything you need to play in any of these 4 quadrants. So we love them all, and I'm not here to try to persuade you of any particular strategy over any other. You know, almost everybody I know that teaches real estate, they're very strategy specific. This is the best way. No, this is the best way. No, this is the best way. You know, we love them all. We love all the commercial assets. We love all the residential ones. We love all the strategies. We love them all. They're all great. So you just have to decide what problem kind of you're here to solve. So let's do a little poll of the audience. And there's no right or wrong. I like to get everybody to participate, kind of like 1, 2, 3, and 4. How many of you are here because you really want to make an extra $100,000 in the next 12 months? Who wants to make the money in the next 12 months? Okay, that's good. How many of you are here mostly because you're here really to build long-term wealth? Who's looking for long-term wealth? Okay, that's very popular. How many of you are here because you already have money and you want to make money with your money? Who wants to make money with their money? Okay, could be your IRA. That's great. How many of you are here because you're ready to do the big deals? You're ready to do the big deals. Okay, we got some big deals too. Great. They're all good. So most of you started here and here. Like I said, we do all, we support all, and we're advocates of all of these things. I will say if you're specifically interested in commercial, you might want to take a snapshot of this QR code. And by the way, when you see these QR codes, it doesn't ask for your name or information. It just sends a text message from your phone to the system, and then the system sends you a text back. We have some free training on how to be a passive or active commercial real estate investor. So if you're having interest in either being a passive investor or an active investor in commercial, definitely want to take a snapshot of that, and you'll get some free training on how to do that. Now, that being said, most of you kind of fell into quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. So let's get started with quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. So good news, there's a lot of ways to do this. In fact, we're going to talk about a dozen different strategies for investing in real estate. And you'll even see most of these even require little or no money and no credit. And whether you have money or not really doesn't matter, because you have to learn how to do it with other people's money, because it's the only way it scales. We're also going to learn some special things about buying rental properties. We have developed, Texas REIAs, some very unique tools. We call them heat maps. We've pulled millions of data points off of the internet, over 20 years of data out of the MLS, all the major MLSs in Texas. And we've developed these heat maps. These are animated maps where we can show you on a street-by-street level exactly which streets you should buy and hold on and which streets you should fix and flip on. And if you use this tool when you're buying and holding real estate, it's a game changer, because some properties do much better over time than others, and it's actually quite predictable. In fact, we give some training on how to know which is the high return properties and which are the low return properties. And it's not like some mysterious thing, because once you see the explanation, you're like, wow, that's really cool. That's very predictable. But so we have tools for all the flips, and we have tools for the buys and holds. So let's get into it. Oh, by the way, I'm Phil Grove. You saw that little intro video of me earlier. I've been doing this for 21 years, became an investor on December 15, 2003. Done over 1,200 deals, own about $30 million in rental properties. I love rental properties. Made a lot of money flipping houses on those 1,200 houses. I've taught a lot of people. I enjoy teaching. I'm a pretty well-known speaker here in Texas. Probably taught more Texans how to invest in Texas than anybody. And teaching is something, by the way, it's kind of a natural byproduct when you get into this. You know, real estate investing, I'm going to tell you all, real estate investing is a really dumb idea. This whole idea is a really dumb idea. Just ask your friends, they'll admit and tell you it's a really dumb idea. And everybody thinks it's a dumb idea right up until the moment you do what? Get a check, yeah. And then it goes from being a dumb idea to being a brilliant idea, right? And then all the people that told you it was a dumb idea are going to say, show me how to do that, right? And we call that bringing people along for the ride. So don't be surprised when you start making money at this if people say, hey, can you show me how to do that? Because everybody at some point in their life wants to make more money, and they kind of do the math, like what are all the possibilities, right? And they look at all the possibilities, and it turns out about 80% of the millionaires got there all or in part from investing in real estate, which in my brain translates to it's really hard to become a millionaire not investing in real estate. So there's a lot of interest in this over time. These are some of the deals that made me money. I don't have time to go through them all, but I do a lot of transactions, approximately a real estate transaction a week. And what that does is it creates money in big chunks. Now that sounds cool, money in big chunks, but I'm not here to sound cool. I'm here to teach you. What is this business? How does this work? The way this business fundamentally works, is we do things to get people with problems to call us. So what kind of problems? They have a house they don't want, a mortgage they can't afford. Problems to entrepreneurs are what? Opportunities. Big problems are what? Big opportunities. So we do things to find people with problems, and then we offer to solve their problems, right? So if you're thinking, I don't want any problems, you're thinking, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. Every entrepreneur has in common with every entrepreneur the same thing. They solve problems. You want to make a lot of money, go find some big complicated problem that a lot of people have and solve it, right? And the world will pay you well. So we solve real estate problems. I'm going to teach you a whole bunch of really clever solutions for every imaginable problem. And so I'll give you some examples. Let me get specific. I found somebody facing foreclosure, huge problem, and I gave them an out, an alternative to a foreclosure, something called a short sale, that allowed them to sell their house without having to destroy their credit and their life, and without having to bring any money to the table. And I made $16,000 helping somebody out of a situation. REO stands for real estate owned, bank owned properties. Banks do not want to own real estate. They're not in the real estate business. So I took it off the bank's hands, flipped it, made $36,000. Guy had a legal problem, had to sell a house by Friday. A realtor cannot sell your house by Friday. I can, okay, wholesaled it, made $5,000. Got a property subject to, my specialty. No money, no credit, flipped it. $68,000, $5,600 on an assignment, $6,000 a mortgage assignment, $10,000 on a wholesale, $2,800 a small referral, $12,400 for a large referral. The way this business works is as follows. We do things to find people with problems. And here's the really cool part, for every problem that exists, so listen to that, for every problem that exists, for every home that exists, for every homeowner that exists, for every situation that exists, we have a strategy. We have a set of strategies, and we have a strategy for every problem, for every house, for every situation. A strategy that helps them is about helping people, solves their problem, their need, and gets us paid. We can help motivated sellers, non-motivated sellers. We can help people that own their houses free and clear. We can help people that are hopelessly underwater, where they owe more money than the house is worth. We can help them, we can solve their problem, their need, and get ourselves paid. Sometimes we get singles, sometimes we get doubles, sometimes we get home runs. Sometimes I work on a lead, a deal, an opportunity, a problem for 6 months, and after 6 months I make $5,000. And I'm like, oh man, 6 months, $5,000. I could have made more money working at Walmart. Now, thank goodness I'm not working on just one lead at a time. Sometimes my phone rings and that phone call makes me $55,000 in 48 hours. And I'm like, oh man, I wish every time my phone rang I made $55,000 in 48 hours, but that's not how it works either. That's maybe 1 out of 100 phone calls. So the question to ask yourself is simple. How often do you get 100 phone calls? How often do you even look at 100 deals? Do you look at 100 deals every week? Do you look at 100 deals a month? Do you look at 100 deals a year? You see, that's up to you. And that depends on how much marketing that you do. So there's 2 essential skills you have to learn to be a real estate investor. The first and foremost is marketing. Marketing is finding the deal or generating the lead. A lead is just a name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. So you need to spend like 85% of your time and money on marketing. Generating the lead, finding the deal, outsource everything else. The next skill I'm going to teach you is strategy. Strategy is doing the deal, solving the problem. We buy houses. We help people sell houses and get rid of houses and mortgages they don't want, can't afford. We do it in a variety of different ways that solves a variety of different problems. So, marketing and strategy, finding deals, doing deals, finding problems, solving problems. I'm going to show you 65 tested, proven ways to find off-market, because that's what we buy, off-market wholesale real estate. I'm going to show you a dozen different strategies, those are the ones we use, to help people solve their problem, solve their need, and get yourself paid. Over half of the marketing methods, by the way, are completely free. And 9 of the 12 investing strategies are actually no money and no credit strategies. And when you learn how to buy real estate with no money and with no credit, then how many properties can you buy? All of them. How many would you like to buy? All of them. Yeah, when I throw out a question, if you just say all of them, you're probably going to get it right, just so you know. All right. So marketing strategy, finding deals, doing deals, finding problems, solving problems. Let us get started with the marketing. Actually, first I'm going to tell you a story. This was my first deal. This was the very first house that I flipped on December 15, 2003. And I'll tell you a little story. On December 14th, 2003, I was scared to death. I was actually being coached and mentored by the 2 guys who ran the Real Estate Investor Association back then. I called them both on the phone on December 14, 2003. I'm scared. I don't want to lose any money. Are you guys sure this is going to work? Yeah, it took 2 seasoned, experienced real estate investors pulling me, kicking and screaming over the starting blocks to get me to do that very first deal. So if you're scared, I get it, I can relate, and I can help. But I also had one other thing motivating me to take action. I was in a job I no longer loved, and I was in a career that I no longer loved. And I got to tell you guys, if you're spending your time doing something you don't love doing, you need to do something different with your life plan. And that's where I was. I needed a different life, right? And I got to tell you, you get one life, and it just races by. My wife and I recently had a baby boy. And this last weekend, I noticed there was a 15-year-old running around in my house who's taller than me, and he wants a car. Like, what happened? Like, I fed him. I remember I fed him, and like he's taller than me and he wants a car. Like what how did that happen? And like what happened in the last 15 years? It's just a blur. It's just a blur. And the point is, if you're not on a trajectory to having the life that you want, you know, if you're not reaching your God-given potential, then maybe like you need to change that trajectory. We sponsor a little show, flipping.com. We interview people in this network, tell their story. Typically millionaires and multimillionaires, right? We do this like every week. So I don't know any other organization in the world that can point to a member like on a weekly basis, millionaire, 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 right? And we always ask them the same question. We always get the same answer, right? What is your biggest regret? They all answer exactly the same way. I wish I started sooner. You even know the answer. Like, I wish I started sooner. It's like my biggest regret. I wish I started sooner. I was comfortable. I was in a six-figure high-tech job. I thought I was doing well. I just didn't know any better, right? But I wanted a different life. So your first deal. Your first deal in a lot of ways is your most important deal. It's kind of like your first kiss, right? Life-changing experience. Everybody remembers their first kiss. Everybody remembers their first deal. I'll tell you about mine. It took me 6 months to find my first deal. Kind of a slow starter. Got it under contract with a contract I got right here at the REIA. Okay. Bought it using OPM, other people's money. We have 1,000 private money lenders in this network. Got a contractor right here in the network to fix it. Got a realtor right here in the network to sell it. Got an attorney and title company right here in the network to close it. And I went to the very first closing. I picked up the very first check for $15,384.26. And you know, when they handed me that check, it was like you unscrewed the cap, popped out the old brain, popped in the new brain. Because right up until the moment they handed me that check, I was a real estate investor based on theory. And I wasn't even sure I believed the theory. I don't know about this, not sure about that, don't know about that. But the second they handed me that check, like a switch flipping, I became a real estate investor based on experience. See, I didn't know anything different except I knew it actually worked. And what I realized when they handed me that check, if I did this and this and this again, I get another check. Worked the first time. If I did this and this again, I get another check. And if I did it again, I get another check. But the really big deal that I realized when they handed me that check, at that moment, I realized that I would never, ever, 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 for the rest of my life, ever have to work for somebody else. Ever, 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 never, ever again. Yeah, and I have not worked for anybody, even for 1 second, since they handed me that check. So if you're new and you're just getting started, here's my first piece of advice. You need to focus yourself like a laser beam on that very first deal. That very first deal will change your life, mostly by changing your mindset. I guarantee you, deals 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 combined, not as hard as deal number 1. It's all about deal number 1. So I told you I was going to tell you what I did right. I'm also going to tell you what I did wrong, because I made all the typical rookie mistakes, including this. I spent all that time finding the deal. I found the deal. As soon as I found the deal, I kind of put my marketing on hold. I picked up a hammer, started working on that deal, finished the deal, got the check, only to wake up the next day and realize I had absolutely nothing to do. Well, you know, except start the whole business all over again. And that gets me to my very first takeaway. And this is really the biggest one of the night. The business of being a real estate investor is the business of finding deals. It's all about finding deals. Why? Because you make the money on the buy. What does that mean? As soon as you find a property and get it under contract, you know what? Whatever money was going to be made or not made on that deal, it's done right at that moment. Yeah, you get the money at the end, at the sell, but you make the money on the buy. As soon as you find a property, as soon as you get it under contract, whatever money was going to be made or not made, it's done right at that moment. And once you realize that, you need to realize that you always need to spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, looking for the next deal. And you have to approach this business such that the next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. The rookies all screw this up. They finally get enough momentum to find a deal. They do a deal, they make money, great. But while they're working on the deal, they're not looking for the next deal. So the deal's over, they don't have another deal, they finally get it going again, they finally get the marketing going, they finally find another deal, they do a deal, they make money, great. But while they're working on the deal, they're not looking for the next deal. So they have to reset the whole thing. and their income goes up and down with big gaps in between. You need your income to go up, 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 up. And the only way to do that, you have to keep the pipeline continuously filled with deals. And the only way to do that is to always spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, looking for the next deal, because the next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. And hint, the deals you are looking for are not in the MLS. The MLS is the multiple listing service. It's the retail market for real estate. It's where realtors sell real estate. It's where all the people in the world compete with each other to see who will pay the most. And I hate to say it, but when you're competing against all the people in the world, some of those people are stupid. And you don't want to compete against stupid. Well, you don't want to win competing against stupid. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. I love the MLS. I adore the MLS. Why? Because after I find off-market wholesale real estate, where do I then want to go to resell it? On the MLS. It's been proven that any property put on the MLS will sell for the most it could possibly be sold for. That's just never where you're going to find heavily discounted wholesale real estate. The very best deal in the entire MLS would rarely be a deal a real estate investor would ever look at. I never buy up the MLS. You find 10% discount, maybe 15, maybe 20. No, we're looking for 30 plus, right? You don't find that on the MLS. So, finding deals. Oh, actually, the rookie mistake. This is like rookie mistake number one, right? Their marketing goes on and off and on and off and on and off, and their income goes up and down and up and down and up and down. No, you need it to go up, 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 up. And the way you do that is you never stop marketing. Always spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, looking for the next deal. The next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. So finding deals. Once I realized this whole shooting match is about finding deals, then I started to systematize the process of finding deals. And over time, I developed 65 different methods to find deals. Now, some of these methods or campaigns take time, and some of these methods or campaigns take money. When you get started, you probably have more time and less money. Once you get going, you have more money and less time. I will be honest with you, I don't spend any time anymore on marketing. I outsource 100%. But when you're getting started, you're probably going to insource more. So then what are all these different marketing methods? Well, let me teach you a whole bunch. Actually, I want to teach you a really important lesson before I teach you these. I need to teach you a really important lesson. Maybe the most important lesson I'm going to teach you today. Okay? When you guys are in elementary school, if you looked over the paper next to you and you copied down the answers, they called that what? Cheating. And you're all told that cheating is what? Wrong, bad. Okay. We're not in little kids anymore. We're not in elementary school anymore. I need you all to unlearn that. Because going forward, guess what? Cheating is the shortcut. What am I saying? What I'm trying to say is this. There's nothing that you're trying to do, there's nothing you're trying to figure out that I and other people haven't already done and figured out. Everything. And I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business has been completely figured out. We know what's in the soil. We know the zoning. We know the guys that write the zoning. We know the appreciation rate by the street address across all the streets across all the state of Texas. We know exactly what letters to send, exactly what marketing lists. We know exactly what offers to make. We know exactly what words to say. We know exactly what objections we're going to get. We know exactly how to overcome the objections. We even know on average how many contracts we're going to get signed for every 20,000 postcards we send out. Everything, and I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business is completely understood. So once I realized that everything I was trying to do and everything I was trying to figure out, other people had done and figured out, I stopped trying to figure everything out, and I just started to, here's this word, copy the 65 tested, proven ways to actually do this, right? So copy stuff that works. That's the lesson. So then what are all these different marketing methods? Well, let me teach you a whole bunch. The first set of strategies has to do with marketing lists. You can buy marketing lists of motivated sellers. What are some of the popular marketing lists? And what do you do with a marketing list? You can send them marketing. You can send them letters. You can send them postcards. You can call them on the phone. You can send them a text message. You can have a CRM system put a voicemail in their voicemail box even without calling them. You can knock on their door Or you can do what I do, and you can use an AI chat bot to chat with thousands of them at the same time while you're sleeping, and then schedule appointments with the ones that actually want to talk to you and get an offer. Or you can do a combination of those things, which we call a multi-touch campaign. So what are some of the popular motivated seller lists? Well, you can get a list of people that didn't pay their property taxes. You can get a list of people that are late paying their mortgage. You can get a list of people who are scheduled for foreclosure, people that have filed for divorce. Two people were combining their income to pay a mortgage, and now one of them's gone. Well, the one that's left is probably having trouble paying the mortgage by themselves. You can get a list of people who've inherited a house from somebody that passed away. You can list a list of people who are trying to get a house where there was no will. 2 out of 3 people that die don't have a will. You can get an AI modeled list. What is that? They know everything about you. Who's they? Big data. Right? They know everything about you. They know your height, your weight, they know your credit score, they know if you're in financial trouble, and you can get a list of people who are predicted to be motivated sellers. You can get a list of people that just got dismissed from bankruptcy, certainly a lot of financial distress there. You can get a non-owner occupied list. This is a list of people who own a house where they don't live in the house they own. Technically, those are landlords, and a lot of them are accidental landlords. They couldn't sell the house, so they rented the house. Or they let their ex-spouse or a family or friend or neighbor stay in a house, or they inherited a house with a tenant in it. They didn't really plan on being a landlord, and eventually they very often become motivated sellers. You can get a list of people who rent to people on public assistance. You can get a code enforcement list. The city is already driving around, issuing citations for abandoned houses, deferred maintenance houses, hoarder houses. You can get a list from the city of every problem property in the city. You can even get an expired listing list. This is a list of people that own a house and put it on the market with a realtor trying to sell it, and it didn't sell. So what do we know about these people? We know 100% of these people would like to sell their house, probably now more than ever, but they probably need solutions that realtors don't offer. Well, hello, that's exactly what investors do offer. Letters, postcards, door knocks, phone calls, chat messages, AI chat, whatever. Some of them call you back. Those are called leads. You make them an offer that solves their problem. We have an offer for every problem. Some of them will say yes, and those are called deals. With a website, you can get leads on the internet, banner signs, little plastic signs. They say, we buy houses. Why do you see those signs on the side of the road? Because they actually work. Online ads work, email, autoresponders, magnetic signs. There's a little sign in the side of your car. You buy the sign once, you get leads for the rest of your life. Door hangers, you don't want to pay postage, you can pay somebody 10 cents a door to put your flyer in every house. Driving for dollars, here's one that's pretty much free. Okay, sometimes I'm just driving around and I see a tarp on a roof. They might as well be waving a big red flag. Desperate motivated seller, please buy my house. I mean, think about this. Somebody's most valuable asset, a house, has a serious problem, okay, a leak, and their solution was to go buy a $5 tarp at Home Depot. How come they didn't fix the roof? No money. Same guy's not fixing the roof, he's not paying his insurance, not paying his taxes, probably not paying his mortgage. Sooner or later, an investor is going to pick up that deal. All right, what are the other marketing methods? So other marketing strategies, other ways to find the deal. Letters of intent. What is a letter of intent? A letter of intent is an offer. So the question is, well then, who should you send an offer to? And the answer is everybody. I'm going to give you all your first homework assignment. Tomorrow, I want each of you to send 300 people an offer on their home. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Because here's how investors think. Ready, fire, aim. You make the offer, and then you negotiate. You make the offer, and then you look for the money. You make the offer, and then you do your due diligence. You make the offer, and then, and only then, do you think about it. You should make everybody an offer. Why not? Do you know that here in Texas, every time you make somebody an offer on their home, you actually get 4 different options. You might want to write them down. Option number 1, you can buy a house. Why? Because they might say yes. Sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time. If you take 300 shots on goal what do you think's going to happen? Something's going in, even if you suck. And with practice, what do you think's going to happen? More of them go in, because with practice, you don't suck anymore. So option number one, you can buy a house. Option number two, you can terminate the offer after you make it. Do you know the Texas state promulgated contract gives the buyer the unilateral right to just rip it up, walk away, no harm, no foul, no risk, no penalty at all? Option number three, you can renegotiate the offer after you make it. Do you know that it's much, much, much easier to renegotiate than it is to negotiate? Especially when everybody that calls you back is saying what? They want to sell, i.e. they want to negotiate. Option number four, you can actually sell the contract itself to somebody else that has money. Notice only one of those four options even required you to have any money to buy a house. The point is, just make offers and give yourself options. So why so many different marketing methods? FSBO, for sale by owner. Calling people trying to sell their own home. Why would they do that? Maybe they're lazy, maybe they're crazy, maybe they need solutions realtors don't offer. Well, hello, that's exactly what investors do offer. Why so many different marketing methods? Well, would you rather fish with a hook or would you rather fish with a net? The answer is you need to learn to fish with a net. And the reason is because this business is a numbers game, and now I'm going to teach you the numbers. I'm going to teach you something right now that it took me 2 years of hard work to figure out. So I'm going to shave 2 years of your learning curve right now. By 2005, I had been a real estate investor for 2 years. And I calculated my first 2 years, I generated about 400 leads. So what does that mean? I looked at a house every couple of days for the first couple of years. And then I did the math. And here's what I figured out. As a rookie, for every $100 I spent on paid marketing, things like direct mail, I got one qualified motivated seller lead. Then I discovered as a rookie, on average, for every 3 hours I spent on personal marketing, things like just driving for dollars, I got one qualified motivated seller lead. Then I discovered that even as a rookie, not knowing what I was doing very well, for every 20 leads I got, I made at least $20,000 net profit on a deal. So let me do the math for you. That means every time I drove around for 60 hours, I got at least 20 leads. It made me at least $20,000 net profit on a deal. Every time I sent out $2,000 in postcards, I got at least 20 leads. That made me at least $20,000 on a deal. Spend $2,000, make 20. Spend $2,000, make 20. Spend $4,000, make 40. Spend $8,000, make 80. Spend $16,000, make 160. Spend $32,000. You don't have to spend it all at once, by the way. Make $320,000 net profit. Are you starting to like the numbers? It took me 2 years to figure that out. But after 2 years in the trenches, I realized, holy cow, this whole business is just a numbers game, and now I know the numbers. I started to think about my business in a completely different way. And by the way, these are numbers that are 20 years old. The numbers are bigger now. Why are the numbers bigger now? Houses cost a lot more money than they used to. Everything's gone up. It's called inflation, appreciation, right? I mean, it's all bigger numbers, right? So the same amount of work makes you more money just because houses cost more, sell for more, you make more money. But after 2 years in the trenches, I realized, holy cow, this is just a numbers game, and now I know the numbers. And I started to think about my business in a completely different way. I now see my business like the whole thing is just a little black box. And I call that little black box a marketing machine. And the way that little black box works is every time I stick $100 worth of marketing in one end, eventually $1,000 worth of net profit pops out the other end. So now if you had a little black box, every time you shoved a $100 bill in one end, a $1,000 bill popped out the other end, how many dollars would you stick in the box? All of them. And I started spending money on marketing like a drunken sailor because I knew. I started spending thousands of dollars a month on marketing, and then I started spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on marketing, and then I hired 2 full-time 6-figure guys who spend 100% of their time spending my money on marketing. And now, today, in some months, I spend as much as $100,000 a month on marketing. Because once you realize it's a numbers game, and once you realize what the numbers are, yeah, it's on. It's just you dial it in and then you dial it up. And you just keep putting money in the box until you can't fit any more money in the box. Sometime later, I actually wrote a book on real estate investing. I don't offer a book anymore. I used to. But I found it's really not that helpful. Books are not that helpful for real estate. I mean, if you think about it, like if reading books turn people into millionaires, I guess the library should be filled with millionaires, right? But they're not. And it's like, well, why is that? Well, eventually I figured it out. You see, real estate's not that complicated. I went to engineering school. That was complicated. I had to take calculus, calculus 2, calculus 3. By the time I took calculus 3, I had to remember calculus 1 and 2. It was really, really complicated. I've never had to solve, however, a differential equation to flip a house. It's not that complicated. But the thing about real estate is, unlike calculus or engineering that's a mile deep, the thing about real estate, it's a mile wide. There's a million little details. Learning real estate is really like learning a language. That's what it is. But you can't learn a language from reading a book. Go buy 10 books on how to speak Spanish. You're going to learn how to count to 10, maybe if you're lucky. That's about it. You can't learn Spanish from reading a book. You can't learn real estate from reading a book. How do you learn Spanish? Yeah, immersion. Go to Spain. You want to eat or go to the bathroom, you're going to learn some Spanish. And it was not until my wife and I joined the local Real Estate Investor Association and actually immersed ourselves, actually spent time hanging out with local real estate investors, right, that we started to hear things 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times and pick up enough of the details, the lexicon, the language, to be able to do this. And that's why REIAs are so important. So we are just past the halfway point in this presentation. I'm about to get into the strategies and the closes, arguably the more fun stuff. But if you remember at the very beginning of this, I said, my job is to make you all into educated and contributing members of this community. And we really want you to be both educated and contributing. We do these meetings all over Texas. And a lot of times when we do these meetings, we always have new people at the meetings. And we call the new people tourists, right? Hey, honey, let's go check out the REIA. Nothing wrong with that. But we figured out a long time ago that nobody actually makes any money as a tourist. We need people to be active, really doing stuff, buying, selling, partnering, lending, borrowing. That's when money gets made. But I also figured out a long time ago that unfortunately, I can't turn somebody into a real estate investor in 45 minutes. If I could only sprinkle pixie dust on somebody's head and turn them into real estate investors in 45 minutes, yeah, that would be awesome. Can't do it. But I can, and I have, turned people into real estate investors over a period of 24 hours. Or maybe it would be more accurate to say 24 hours spread out over 3 days, giving us the time to get through the nitty-gritty details of how this actually works. And this is why the Texas REIAs and Flipping.com sponsors the Flipping Real Estate Investor Workshop. This is world-class Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas using strategies that work here. Practical, actionable, detailed, step-by-step training. I teach this myself. I love teaching this stuff. We go through all 12 real estate investing strategies. You need to know them all. We teach all 65 ways to find these off-market deals and the closes. Learn how to partner with local experts, how to access private money to give yourself a competitive advantage. Thousands, and I mean thousands, of the most successful investors in the state of Texas got started here. The real deal, Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas. So we're doing it live, and we're simulcasting online as well. Some of the things we're going to cover is our heat maps, the exact neighborhoods to buy and hold in. That's worth the price of admission, and it's free, but it's like exactly where to buy and hold, where to fix and flip. And that information doesn't exist anywhere else. How to get off-market deals from outsourcing. We outsource everything. How to get paid offering free house remodels. This is my favorite strategy right now. I will offer to remodel somebody's house for free. It's an absolute irresistible offer. They say yes. You can't turn down the offer. We make a fortune remodeling people's houses for free. How about how to get 3% mortgages? People are all complaining about interest rates. Well, there's a new loan product, and the new loan product is a 3% mortgage on a rental property. And here's the really cool part. Not only is it a great interest rate, no money down, no credit check, no paperwork, 100% approval rating, right? So no money, no credit, right? 100% approval, 3% interest. So who's feeling a little skeptical right now? Raise your hand if you're feeling a little skeptical right now. So do you believe I could get you a 3% mortgage? Do you believe I can get you a 3% mortgage? Possibly. All right, all right. Well, I'll tell you what, this is so good. I'm not going to make you wait till the workshop. I'm going to show you that trick in just a few minutes because it's a pretty cool trick. How about how to use AI? This is what I do. I don't have time to call 10,000 people, so I have this guy that works for me. It's actually an AI that works for me, and he calls them while I'm sleeping, schedules appointments with people. When you're talking to somebody, by the way, it's not necessarily a person anymore. You all know that, right? You know, you never know if you're talking to a real person or you're talking to a chatbot. How to use VAs, virtual assistants. I have 14 people that work for me in the Philippines. And they have college educations. They're really smart. They're hardworking. They speak American English. And you know, because of the exchange rate, the money you have to pay to hire them is like 10 cents on the dollar for what you would pay to hire somebody here. And it's a fortune. So they're getting paid really well by their money standards. So it's a way to outsource and grow your business that way. So that's just some of the stuff we do at the workshop, in person, online. Come to Dallas, Austin, Houston, pick the date and location that works best for you, and we will see you there. And we'll hand out a little form in a few minutes. Oh, one other thing that I'm going to recommend that you do, become a member of the REIA. They say if you have the slightest interest in real estate, the first thing to do is to join your local real estate investor association. So I'm going to encourage you all to join your local real estate investor association. This association is by far the largest set of REIAs in the state of Texas, 150,000 members, participants, and attendees. And membership has wonderful privileges. For example, when you come to the workshop, you come as a VIP, which means you get preferred seating. You get lunch, lunches each of the 3 days, and some special lunch sessions. And you get access to the network. So who would like to have access to 20,000 buyers? Anybody want 20,000 buyers? You should join the REIA. Who would like to have access to 250 power team members, contractors, suppliers, and resources to help your business? Okay, you should join the REIA. Who would like to have access to 1,000 private money lenders? Private money is cheaper, faster, better than hard money. Anybody want private money? Oh, you should join the REIA. Special training, all kinds of things. So members of the REIA can access all of that through our private moderated online group that only members have. You get a Texas Money resource guide, you get a really cool training program, and we even have weekly events about every week online as well. So those are all membership benefits. Please join the REIA. And also, the Texas REIAs is the only organization in Texas that spends money to protect your rights. The legislature is always passing laws or trying to pass laws, making things like wholesaling illegal. Just a few years ago, we came this close to losing wraparound mortgages, and if it was not for this organization spending tens of thousands of dollars on lobbying efforts, right, you would not be able to do that today. So you guys are welcome for that, and that's why it's very important to be a patron and a member of your REIA. Now, most of this is paid for by our vendors, so thank you, vendors. But you should also contribute yourself by becoming a member yourself. And if you want to join the REIA, it's $250, but drum roll please, we're going to do a special, and it's $100. So if you join the REIA, it's $100 if you join today. And it's a one-year membership. You will not be automatically renewed in a year, but you can renew in a year if you want to, and that's for joining the REIA. And also as a member of the REIA, you're also going to get a second workshop as well, which is the commercial workshop. So with that, I was going to have somebody hand out the forms, so hold on just a second. We're going to get you guys some forms. And boom, 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 boom. All right, we'll hand out a little form and you guys can sign up for the REIA. So, I'm not sure where my forms are. So, I will take care of that in just a second. Oh, one other thing. This is what happens when an engineer becomes a real estate investor. I invent things, and this is a little invention of mine. This is a poster. We print these on posters, and these are the 273 things you need to know to be a real estate investor. And we put this on a poster, and remember I said real estate's not complicated, it's not a mile deep, it's a mile wide. So these are all the different investing strategies, all the different marketing campaigns, all the different sales and negotiating closes, all the different operation stuff, corporate structures, power teams, et cetera, all the different financing strategies, all the different analysis and due diligence. So we have these posters, they're 2 feet by 3 feet. And if you join the REIA, you also get one of these cool posters, so you can hang this on your wall. It's going to remember, help you remember all the pieces to the puzzle. And excuse me, and then when you come to the workshop, we'll teach you how all this stuff works. So you definitely come to the workshop. So with that, we're going to hand out a form in just a minute and just have you fill out the form if you want to come join us. And again, you're going to pick your location and your date to come join us. So, oh, my phone just went dead. So, and we'll hand that form out in a minute. But let me get back to the training, and I'll answer some more questions on the thing as well. So let me get back to the training. Marketing, check. Let's get into the strategies. So strategies. There's a lot of different ways to do this. And we're also going to do a market update, by the way, tell you what's going on in the marketplace. But people always ask, well, what's the best strategy? Because there's so many different strategies to choose from. Well, you can do short sales, buy and hold, mortgage assignments. You could do auction options. Olivia, do we have forms? We're going to hand out the forms. Let's get the forms handed out. Mortgage assignments. You can do referrals, wholesaling, contracts for deeds. You can do lease options, house swapping, wraparound mortgages. You can do equity partnering, and you can do fix and flip. And you can certainly spend a lot of time and money on all that training and education. In fact, my wife and I have actually spent over $100,000 on training, coaching, seminars, books, et cetera. Most of it was great. Some of it was not great. It all sounded great, but I don't feel bad about spending over $100,000 on my education because I've made many millions of dollars on our education, but I do have a little pet peeve at how most people teach and how most people get taught. Can you hand me a form? Okay. And Olivia, can you hand the forms out on that side? Okay. So this is how you sign up for the REIA for free. Sign up for the workshop for free. On the form, just pick the city that you want. There's a date stamped on here. The date is the Friday of the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's 3 days. Just pick the date you want. Please print clearly. Please join the REIA. So if you join the REIA today, it's only $100. And if you sign up for the workshop today, it is free. So it's a really amazing deal. And then there's some other information down below. We can connect you up with some helpful resources. We will collect these things later, so you don't have to turn it in right away. But when you are ready to go, we'll collect the forms, we'll give you a receipt, and we'll give you a little packet. If you join the REIA, you get your poster, you get a packet, you get 2 VIP tickets, and you definitely want to join the REIA because it's a really, really good idea. But I'll explain a little bit more of the details later on. Don't worry, we'll get you a form. Oh, you only need, are you together? Okay, you can do one together. Okay. And if you're joining the REIA and you have a guest, you don't have to pay twice. So you can join the REIA, you become a VIP, and your guest can come with you as a VIP. So you definitely want to join the REIA. You don't have to pay twice for that. And we'll collect the forms back a little bit later, so take your time on that. Okay, so all these different strategies. People always ask, well, what's the best strategy? Well, let's answer that question right now. The good news is they all work. All of these strategies can make you money investing in real estate. That's the good news. The bad news is that they each only work in unique situations. You see, each of these strategies should be thought of as the solution to a particular problem or situation. But remember what I said earlier, your job one is finding the deal. So let's talk about that. Here's a brand new investor hunting for a deal. And he does some marketing and he gets a lead. That's a lead. What is a lead? The name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate, a homeowner that might want to sell real estate. Well, if this guy had gotten the right training, he would know how to solve that particular seller's problem using a strategy called a wrap-around mortgage. That is the solution to that seller's problem. But that's not the training he got. This guy just went to one of those silly wholesale seminars, and all he learned how to do was wholesaling. So he's looking for a wholesale deal, but he didn't find a wholesale deal. He found a wrap deal, but he doesn't know how to do that. So he can't solve that problem and make money on that lead. So what does he do? He does some more marketing and generates yet another lead. Now, if he only knew how to do a mortgage assignment, he could solve a problem, get a check. But again, he doesn't know how to do that because all he knows how to do is wholesaling. He's still looking for a wholesale deal. So now what's he going to do? Some more marketing and generate yet another lead. And now if he only knew how to do an auction option, he could solve a big problem and get himself a big check. But again, he doesn't know how to do an auction option because all he knows how to do is wholesaling, and he's still looking for a wholesale deal. Are you starting to see a problem? This is big rookie mistake number 2. There's 30,000 YouTube videos that tell people how to get started investing in real estate. And what most of that training says is this: you need to get started by learning one strategy, and this is the best one. No, this is the best one. No, this is the best one. Well, whatever. You need to learn a strategy, make money on that strategy, and after you learn that strategy and make money on that strategy, later on you can learn some other strategy. It sounds pretty good and feels pretty good. But forgive my language when I say this, that is a completely ass-backwards way to go about this. Saying that you need to get started by learning one strategy and make money on one strategy before you learn the other strategy, that's kind of like saying you need to go to Las Vegas and learn how to bet on one number on the roulette wheel. And only after you make enough money betting over and over and over again on that one number on the roulette wheel, later on you can learn how the other numbers work. Well, that's ridiculous. Yet that's how 95% of real estate investors get started investing in real estate. And it's no surprise that 95% of real estate investors give up before they ever get going. And probably 99% of wholesalers. So let's talk about wholesaling. There's nothing wrong with wholesaling. Wholesaling is probably the easiest strategy to teach and the easiest strategy to learn. The problem, however, with wholesaling, from my experience, I would say even though it's easy to understand, easy to learn, it's the hardest one to do that on average makes the least amount of money for the amount of work you put into it. So when somebody says, I want to get started by wholesaling, here's how my brain translates that plan. I want to do the hardest thing there is to do that on average makes the least amount of money. And I know from my experience that about 99 out of 100, maybe not 100 out of 100, but about 99 out of 100 people that try to do that end up giving up before they ever get going. Because if you do something that's a lot of work that doesn't make a lot of money, you're going to give up before you ever get going. For example, how many of you have read the book, The Millionaire Wholesaler? That's because it's never been written. Nor will it ever be written, because it's the hardest thing to do that makes the least amount of money. So I'm going to show you, and I teach wholesaling, and I do wholesaling, but I also teach the other 11 strategies that go with it. So I'm going to show you what the top 5% of investors do. And I'm going to tell you my advice is to play to be in the top 5%, or don't bother, because they make all the money. So here's how I do it, and here's how I'm going to teach you how to do it as well. I bet on all of the numbers on the wheel, and then I spin the wheel a lot. And what does that mean? I use all 12 strategies. Why not learn all 12 ways to fill out a contract? Why not learn all 12 ways to solve a problem? You spend time and maybe some money to do marketing to find somebody with a problem. If there's a way to help them and solve their problem and get paid, you need to help them and solve their problem and get paid. And once you know all 12 strategies, I'm going to tell you there is no problem that does not have a solution. We can help motivated sellers, non-motivated sellers, free and clear, underwater. Doesn't matter. Help them solve their problem, get paid. And then what do you want to do? And then you want to spin the wheel a lot. And that just means take a lot of shots on goal, look at a lot of deals. This is what the top 5% of investors do. Play to be in the top 5% or don't bother. So how do you do that? You got to know all the strategies. Let's talk about strategies. Actually, first, I'm going to tell you another story. This was my first big deal. After I was a real estate investor for just over 2 years, I flipped this house. And I actually made $291,000 net profit, pretty good profit, flipping this house. But the more interesting part of this story is I was actually the 8th investor at bat. So what does that mean? 7 other real estate investors looked at this deal before me and passed on the deal. How's that possible? How can 7 different real estate investors pass on a deal, an opportunity to make almost $300,000 net profit on a deal? How's that even possible? I'm going to tell you it's not just possible, it's typical. Let me tell you the rest of the story. First investor walks into this house, says, I'd love to buy your house, but you're underwater. You can't even afford to sell me the house. Second investor walks into this house, says, I'd love to buy your house, but you're in bankruptcy. I can't buy a house from somebody in bankruptcy. Third investor walks into this house and says, well, I can help you avoid a foreclosure by doing something called a short sale, but I can't do that while you're in bankruptcy. I walked into this house and I said, my, oh my, you have a lot of big problems, don't you? Big problem means what? Big opportunity. You know, it took 1, 2, 3 different strategies to solve this guy's problem. I solved the problem. I got the check. My competition was a bunch of one-trick ponies. Most of my competitors are a bunch of one-trick ponies. One-trick ponies are annoying. They get in the way at times, but they don't last long. Guys, if you think you're going to find pretty houses at big discounts just waiting for you, hanging off of trees, you're smoking crack, okay? This is what opportunity looks like. A big bundle of problems with a nice, pretty bow around it. I want a house where half the house burned down. I want a house that has mold. I want a house that flooded. I want a house where a meth lab exploded in the garage. I want a house where someone was murdered in the living room. Oh, yeah. You can make a killing on a murder house. I own one. How do you make a killing on a murder house? I'm serious. Now, okay, listen, here's the thing. Murder's not common, but stigma's common. How do you make money on a stigma house? What do you think it cost to buy a murder house? Anybody want to guess? Not much. 20 cents on the dollar. And do you know what everybody says when they go by that house? They point at that house and they say, that's a murder house. You know, a year later, everybody going by that house, you know what they do? They point at that house and man, something bad happened in that house. A few years later, they go by that house and they kind of look around, they're like, somewhere around here, something happened. About 5 years later, they go by that house, what do you think they say? Nice house, how much? Stigmas go away. Somebody gets shot in a bar, it's a crime scene. A few years later, it's a tourist attraction. That's how stigmas work. Right? I bought a house in South Austin for $180,000. Now it's worth $580,000. What did I do? I didn't do anything. I rented it out cheap to a guy that didn't mind living in a murder house. That's all I did. That was the improvement, right? Time. But the point is, problems are opportunities, big problems, big opportunities. So I'll give you another story. One of my students recently bought one of those $150,000 Teslas, okay? Paid cash for it. And he calls it his air car. H-E-I-R, air car. Yeah, somebody died without a will. Do you know that 2 out of 3 people don't have a will? Light bulb. But they did have 42 heirs. And everybody said, no way, man, there's no way you're going to get 42 people to agree on something, big problem. All right? He rolled up his sleeves and it took a little effort, but eventually he got 42 people to agree that a little bit of something is a whole lot better than a whole lot of nothing. Now he's driving around a $150,000 air car. Problems or opportunities, big problems, big opportunities. So we use these marketing techniques to get lists of these people with problems. And then we use strategies to solve their problems. So let me teach you a couple strategies. We've got time for 2. The first strategy I'm going to teach you today is wholesaling. Easiest one to teach, I'll teach you right now. How does this work? You simply find a property and get it under contract. How much money does it cost to get a property under contract? Nothing. Can we all afford that? I think so. Now, after you get a property under contract, you have what's called an equitable interest in the property. The contract itself has value because it gives the owner of the contract the right to sell the contract or buy the property at whatever the contract says are the terms, right? And you can actually sell that valuable contract to somebody else for a fee. So you get a property under contract and then sell your equitable interest or your contract to another investor for a fee. All right, well, how much is the fee? $500 to $5,000 on a small deal, $10,000 to $25,000 on an average deal, $25,000 or more on a big deal. And this, my friends, is a no money and no risk strategy. I've discovered it's really hard to lose money when you're not actually spending or investing any money. This is one of the 9 of the 12 strategies that are no money, no risk strategies. So let me show you an example of a deal. When you come to the workshop, I teach you the theory. I just taught you the theory. That was the theory. But then after I teach the theory, I always go into the stories, right? Because you have to see examples. That's what makes it real and understandable. So at the workshop, I'm probably going to tell you about 100 different stories. So let me give you an example of a story. This is Kimberly. She came to the workshop, and she did her first deal after the workshop. She told me about the deal. I'm going to share the story with you. Her mom was visiting her from out of town. So she's in the car with her mom, and her mom's like, Kim, where are we going? Oh, well, Mom, we're going to get a house under contract. What? Kim, are you crazy? What are you talking about? You just graduated from college. You don't have any money. You don't have any credit. You don't even have a job. What do you mean you're getting a house under contract? Don't worry, Mom. I know what I'm doing. So Kim's mom watched Kim walk into this house and offer the seller $265,000 cash for his home, and he signed a contract. Now, obviously, they talked on the phone ahead of time. Obviously, he was a motivated seller. Kim then took that contract and she posted it out to this network. Remember I said join the network? Well, guess what? Thousands and thousands. We meet every minute of every day online, right? Every minute of every day. We're meeting right now. Thousands and thousands and thousands of times over the last decade, the members of this community post their deals, questions, offers, contracts, resources, money, questions, whatever, back and forth over that network. So Kim posted this deal out to the network, and guess what? Several other members of the network wanted to buy that deal, that contract from Kim. And one of the other members of the REIA negotiated and paid Kim, offered and paid Kim $17,000 for a contract. So Kim just sold her contract to another member of the REIA for $17,000. So now Kim is a believer. Well, actually, Kim was a believer. Now Kim's mom is a believer. So what would Kim have done with that contract had nobody wanted to buy her contract? What would she done in the contract? Terminate. Rip it up. No harm, no foul. But she didn't need to. So who bought the contract? Another member of the REIA by the name of Tatiana. I know Tatiana pretty well. How did that work? Tatiana paid Kim $17,000 for the contract. It then became Tatiana's contract. Crossed Kim's name out, where it said buyer, wrote her name in, wrote her company name in. Tatiana then bought the house for $265,000 cash. She had the cash. She kept it for 6 months as a month-to-month rental. After the tenants moved out, she did a renovation and a small addition. And then she sold it after owning it for 12 months. And when she sold it, she made almost $100,000 of net profit. That she only had to pay long-term capital gains taxes, no income taxes. Do you think Tatiana was pretty happy that Kim bought that property from her? I'm sorry, that Kim found that property for her? What do you think? Yeah, you bet. So let's see what we got. Do a little audience participation here. By a show of hands, just curious, by a show of hands, how many of you are cash buyers? Raise your hand if you're a cash buyer. Let me ask a different question. How much cash do you have to make a cash offer? 0. Well, then how much cash do you have to be a cash buyer? Zero. You don't have to have any cash to make a cash offer. You don't have to have any cash to be a cash buyer. You just need to know people with cash. So let me ask you guys another question. Does anybody here know somebody that you could call if you got a smoking hot deal to buy a property for a big discount for cash? Does anybody know such a person? For example, who? Who do you think? Yeah, what do you think I'm doing up here? Over here, guys. Over here. You know, and in fairness, there's thousands, hundreds of guys just like me out on that network that would be pleased as punch, right, if you guys got out there, you got some properties under contract. If you don't want it yourself, pitch it back to the group. That's why we want you. That's why we need you. That's why we'll even train you, right, on how to be educated, contributing members of the community. But I can tell I have my work cut out for me. So let me try this again. By a show of hands, how many of you are cash buyers? Oh, fantastic. Love talking to a room full of cash, right? Now, by the way, the network, the REIA, instantly puts people with cash in connection with people with deals, right? Instantly puts people with deals in connection with people with cash, right? I said the MLS is the retail marketplace. That's the retail pond. That's the pond with the small fish. You need to fish in the wholesale pond. That's the pond with the big fish. So then where's the wholesale pond? You're sitting in it. Yeah, a large network of real estate investors horse trading right back and forth. Welcome to the wholesale marketplace. That's why you also want to be a member of the REIA. All right, our next strategy, I got time for one more, is a bit more complicated and frankly a bit more interesting. It is called buying a property subject to the mortgage. This is buying and owning real estate even with no money and no credit. I am a nationally recognized expert at teaching this strategy. I've literally taught tens of thousands of people how to do this. It's possible nobody has taught as many people to successfully do this as I don't know. But I'm certainly a well-recognized national expert at teaching this, and I'm now going to teach it to you. How does this work? What does this mean? How does real estate work? When somebody buys real estate, how does that work? They go to a title company, they sign a stack of documents. Most of the documents at a closing are disclaimers and disclosures, but there's two documents that you sign at a closing that make the closing happen. The two documents that actually make the transaction happen are the deed and the note. Deed, note. Totally separate instruments, a deed and a note. Now, whoever name goes on the deed, that's who owns the house. That's how you transfer ownership. Whoever name goes on the note, that's who's responsible for the mortgage. That's how you assign a mortgage. So we got a deed, we got a note, separate documents. Now, usually it's the same guy that goes on both. Guy buys a house, his name is on the deed, his name is on the note, he owns a house, and he's responsible for the mortgage. That's normal. He moves into the house, and it's his house. And all the rights and privileges and responsibilities and benefits of home ownership, they all go to him. It's his house. At the end of the month, he gets a statement from the bank, says you owe us $2,000 for your mortgage. And he writes the bank a check for $2,000. Bank gets a check, and they cash the check. Bank's happy, he's happy, everybody's happy. That's how it works. Hey, Thomas, can you give me a power cord for my phone? My phone is dead. Okay, that's how it works. And then the guy goes on to get married. And well, you know, Texas is a community property state. So when the guy gets married, now there's two names on the deed, his and hers, right? Look at the tax records, two names, his and hers, but his name is still the only name on the note. Just because somebody gets married or is taken on or off the deed, that does not affect the note. And then time goes on and things don't work out and they get a divorce. And in their situation, the wife gets the house in the divorce. So now something kind of interesting has happened. Now her name is the only name left on the deed, but his name is still the only name on the note. So the question is, as long as he keeps sending a check every month to the bank, or she starts sending the bank a check every month, or a tenant or a property manager, a neighbor, investor, friend, or family member, or somebody sends the bank a check every month, The question is, does the bank actually care who wrote the check? No. There's some dude sitting at the bank getting paid $9.82 an hour to open envelopes. He's like, oh, we got a check for the right amount. Came on time and it cleared. We're good. So if you're listening to my story so far, I just told you all a story about a woman, about a spouse, about a person that was able to acquire real estate, even with no money and with no credit. There it is, a way somebody acquired real estate with no money and no credit. I told you I was going to tell you how to do that. All right, so here's the really, really good part. You can all do exactly the same thing, and you don't have to get married to do it. Because here's the deal, and you're going to like this a lot. Anybody, any of you, anybody can go up to any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage from any lender on any house at any time, and you can make them an offer. The offer any of you can make with any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage from any lender on any house at any time is this. Here's the offer. I will make the payments on your mortgage for you going forward, or I will find somebody to make the payments on your mortgage for you going forward. What's the catch? The catch is you have to hand the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. And you do this with any homeowner that has any loan from any lender on any house at any time. And the only person on this planet that has to agree to this transaction is the person whose name is on the deed, not the bank. The bank has no say in this transaction. There are federal laws that regulate this transaction. Anybody can transfer their deed to anybody they want to. Anybody can pay somebody else's mortgage if they want to. So if you're listening to me closely, here's what you just heard me say. You can buy any house in Texas from any homeowner in Texas that has any loan from any lender. You can buy that person's house at any time, and you can buy and own that person's house even with no money and even with no credit by simply offering to take over the payment on their mortgage, or even offering to find somebody else to take over the payment on their mortgage in exchange for them simply transferring the deed, which is ownership of the property, to you. And once you learn how to buy real estate with no money and with no credit, then how many houses can you buy? All of them. When somebody's in financial distress or in financial distress, they got a house, they got a mortgage. Is the house the problem or is the mortgage the problem? Owning a house is never a problem. Being responsible for a mortgage, that could be a big problem. If you solve the big problem by taking over the payment or finding somebody to take over the payment, in exchange for solving the big problem, you ask them to transfer the deed, which is ownership of the property, to you. So buying subject to is simply agreeing to pay a mortgage for somebody going forward in exchange for their deed. Now, once they transfer their deed to you, you own it. You can do whatever you want with it. You can renovate it and retail sell it to somebody else. You can wrap it, assign it, keep it as a rental property. You can keep it as your own homestead if you'd like. I've helped many of my friends buy their very own homestead with this little or no money, no credit needed strategy. How much money can you make? Well, you're going to see there's a lot of ways to make a lot of money when you're buying houses with no money, no credit. Small flip, at least 10 or 15,000, typically a lot more, and this is another little or no money, little or no risk strategy. Let me show you an example of a deal. This is one of the $30 million worth of houses that I own in Texas. Now, if I wanted to buy $30 million worth of houses, traditionally, think about it. I'd have to put down 20% every time I bought a house. In other words, I'd have to be a multi-millionaire just to become a millionaire. Well, I wasn't a millionaire when I started buying real estate in Texas. So how was I able to acquire $30 million worth of houses? Well, I'll tell you my little trick. Most of them were bought using exactly this strategy, including this house. So let me tell you about this house. A woman owned this house worth $150,000. She only owed $110,000 on the mortgage. So this house has $40,000 in equity. She had the house rented out for $1,600 a month rent. The mortgage payment, including tax and insurance, is $1,100 a month. So in other words, this house is generating $500 a month of gross cash flow. It should have and could have, and it would have been a perfect rental property, except for one major problem. This woman had lost her job. She was continuing to collect the rent because she was living off of the rent, but she stopped paying the mortgage. 4 days before the first Tuesday of the month, when the bank was going to foreclose on her, I knocked on her door. Hello, can I help you? I am here to help you. But what can you do? There's no time. They're going to foreclose on me. How can you help? They're going to foreclose on me. There's no time. What can you do? Here's what I can do. I can stop the foreclosure. I can reinstate your loan. I can catch up your mortgage payments. I can make your mortgage payments for you going forward. I can even repair all of your credit. Well, that's amazing. What's the catch? You simply have to hand the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. And she said, deal. Why in the world did she say deal? Because in 4 days, she's losing the house. That was a done deal. But she wasn't just going to lose the house. In addition to losing the house, she was going to get a great big bonus to go along with it. What do you call that bonus? A foreclosure. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I told her. You don't want a foreclosure. You may think a foreclosure is the end of your problem. It's not. It's the beginning of a 10-year nightmare that starts with the sheriff and his deputies dragging you and your family and all of your possessions to the curb in front of your friends and neighbors. It's 10 years of dealing with the IRS, potentially garnishing your wages to collect a 1099 that could be issued against you for up to the full value of your loan. It's 10 years of dealing with the lender, potentially filing a lawsuit against you for up to the full value of the home. It's 10 years of dealing with creditors, calling you, hounding you day and night to collect on the judgment from the lawsuit. It's 10 years of not being able to buy another home, not being able to buy a car, not being able to get a credit card, not being able to rent certain apartments or even open certain bank accounts or even get certain jobs. In other words, it's a bullet to the head. And I stopped all of that from happening to her. And she was thrilled. She even said thank you. And the bank was thrilled because they didn't want the house back. They just wanted their money, so I gave them their money. And the tenants were thrilled because they didn't want to get kicked out of the house, so I let them stay in the house, and they just kept paying their rent to me. But mostly I was thrilled because for $4,500, which is what it cost me to reinstate that loan, I now own this beautiful $150,000 house. It came with a loan. It came with $40,000 of equity, all mine. Came with tenants paying me $1,600 a month rent. After I pay the bank $1,100, I put $500 back in my pocket. And if you think that's cool, my wife and I own $30 million worth of these houses. Some of them took small amounts of money like this. Most of them honestly took more money than this. But then some of them took absolutely no money at all. So let me ask you guys a question. How many of you would like me to walk you step by step by step through how to do this deal? Yeah? All right, we're all out of time. We're almost out of time. Okay, I'll finish. I love this deal. My second favorite deal, my second favorite strategy, I should say. But I'll bet you don't know why I love this so much. Some of you are like, oh, you're making $500 a month. Yeah, that's not it. $500 is not going to affect my life or my lifestyle at all. What I love about this is by doing this over and over and over again, over the last 21 years, my wife and I were able to accumulate a portfolio that's now worth $30 million. In fact, just over the last 3 years, that portfolio went up in value by more than 30%. In other words, just over the last 3 years, my wife and I became more than $10 million richer from having done this thing over and over again. This thing that required little or no money and no credit. That's what I love about this. This is the strategy that allows anybody, regardless of money or credit, to become multi-millionaires. Because I don't care how much money you have, it's not enough. It's not going to get you to your goal, right? If you use money as down payments, those down payments will suck up your money. You're not going to be able to buy all the houses you need, right? And I don't care how much credit you have, you don't have enough credit. You can get a loan, 2 loans, maybe 3 loans, and then it gets harder. 5 loans, it gets really hard. 10 loans, it's almost impossible. Now you got to go to special commercial loans. It gets harder and harder and harder. You want to make a lot of money, you have to do this in a scalable way. The only way to scale is to use other people's money and other people's credit. And that's why I love this. And when I realized the wealth potential of this strategy, I actually made one additional tweak to this strategy. I no longer buy these houses in my name. In fact, I no longer buy these houses in my company's name. Now when I buy these houses, I prefer to buy them in my IRA. How many of you were aware that you could do this transaction with your IRA? Nobody? Well, guess what? You know you can do this transaction with your IRA. Yeah. In fact, come to the workshop. One of our vendors, Directed Trust IRA, they will set it up for you at the workshop so you can start using your IRA to do this transaction. You're never going to go back to Apple Computer after you do this. Okay? So what happens when my IRA does this deal? Well, my IRA issues the $4,500 reinstatement fee, right, to the bank, and the deed transfers to my IRA. Every month, the property manager deposits $1,600 of rent into the IRA. Every month, the IRA automatically issues a check for $1,100 to pay the mortgage, and $500 rolls back into the IRA. But that's not the good part. So then what's the good part? Over the next 25 years, this property will double in value, and it'll double again. And even with very conservative appreciation rates, it'll almost double a third time. Something interesting happens to the loan on this property over the next 25 years. What happens to the loan? It gets paid off by the tenants. Thank you very much, tenants. In other words, every time my IRA does this deal, my IRA ultimately ends up owning an asset worth about $1 million that by then I own free and clear. And because my IRA is also a Roth IRA, when I sell this asset in retirement, 100% of the proceeds are tax-free. Tax-free. Did y'all just see what I did? I just showed you how to turn a $4,500 IRA into $1 million tax-free doing one deal, one time. Helping a woman out of a horrible situation. Helping tenants stay in a property they wanted to stay in. Helping a bank not take a property back they didn't want back. All that just doing it once. The average retired person at the age of 65 has a net worth of $62,000. If you just did this one deal, one time, you'd be 25 times richer than the average retired person, just doing it once. But I'll tell you, I've never seen somebody do this deal once. 95% of the people will never do this deal. And 100% of the people that do it once, then what do? And they do it again, and then what do? And then they do it again and again and again. So one last time, how many of you would like me to walk you step by step through how to do this deal? Okay, I'm going to walk you step by step. Yeah, and by the way, I promised you something earlier. I'm going to deliver now. Who would like to get a 3% mortgage on a rental property with no money down and no credit check? You're looking at it, folks. Just find somebody that got a 3% mortgage a few years ago, which is everybody, and is in financial distress and doesn't want foreclosure, and you offer to just take over their payments. You just got a rental property with no money down, right, and no credit check of your own. Anybody can do this. And by the way, the new 3% mortgage loans are way better than the old 3% mortgage loans because the old loans required you to put 20% down and have credit. The new loans don't require you to put any money down and don't require any credit. Right? The only best credit is somebody else's credit. So how many of you would like me to walk you step by step through how to do this deal? Okay, I'm going to walk you step by step through how to find this, how to get it under contract, okay, which contract to use, which attorney and title company to close it at. I'm going to walk you step by step through all of the steps to do this, okay? But it's going to take us about 3 days, so we're going to have to finish this at the workshop. And, you know, obviously that was pretty cool. That was not my favorite strategy. That's my second favorite strategy. My favorite strategy is to offer to remodel houses for free. Nobody ever turns down the offer. It's an incredible offer. But those are just two of the top 12 strategies, all 65 marketing man. I just taught you your first close. Remember I said I was going to tell you the close, the magic words. That was the atomic bomb close. Those are the exact words I said to that woman on that list. Now think about how this business works. I literally got a list. Remember those marketing lists? I got a list with those names on it. I called the people on the list and I read those words to those people. Right? And then the woman hands me the deed, hands me the keys and says, thank you. Now, it doesn't work every time. It's a numbers game, right? You get 20 people to talk to you, maybe 1 out of 20, but it's a numbers game. But that's how this game works, right? You get a list, you read the magic words, you get the deed, and it scales up. So the workshop, and we're doing a market update in a minute too, but let me finish this discussion. It's Dallas, Houston, Austin, join the REIA. All of you should join the REIA. I'm sure all of you can afford $100. And then you're a VIP and you're a member of the community. You get all the wonderful benefits, access to me and everybody else online, and training, and you're coming to the workshop as a VIP. If I'm going to a workshop, I'd really prefer VIP with special sessions, etc. So some logistics, these are the dates. Pick the dates and location that works. It's the same workshop in the 3 different cities. So the workshop is exactly the same, but we do one in Austin, one in Dallas, and one in Houston. So it's a limited 3-city tour. Come in person. I recommend in person, but you can also come online. Sometimes we have people that are in Dallas and they want to go to Austin just because they have family or whatever in Austin and they want to get away a little bit. If I do a workshop, sometimes I like to be away a little bit so I can focus a little bit more. Fill out the form to join for you guys online. The form is online. If you do it right now, you get it for free. So pretty incredible deal. Please join the REIA. All of you should be a patron of the REIA. If you have the slightest interest in real estate, join the freaking REIA. And then you get access to buyers, your power teams, me, 1,000 private money lenders, etc. You get a Texas Money Resource Guide, a free training program, and weekly training online as well. You also get a really cool poster of the 272 things that you need to know to be a real estate investor, and this goes to everybody who comes to the workshop and joins the REIA. So you can come to the workshop for free, join the REIA. If you join the REIA, it's $100. And that is it. So I'll do a couple of other announcements, and then we're going to do a market update. People ask me, can I get copies of your presentations? Yes, you can. We post them on our social media. So we're on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Just look for Texas REIAs and get us online. Some details of the workshop itself. Okay, I teach the whole thing. So you're going to spend 3 days with me. I start talking at about 8:45 a.m. Get there by 8:30, 8:20. Get a good seat. Be a VIP, and you get the best seat by joining the REIA. We're going to go 24 hours over 3 days. We're going to go late Friday, late Saturday, early Sunday. How late? I don't know. Kind of depends on you guys. We probably go until like 7:30, Friday, 7:30, Saturday, and then we'll end up early on Sunday. I'm going to invite people from past workshops to come in, show you some of their deals and stuff like that. We probably are going to do property tours live. I may call people right in the middle of the workshop and have them walk through houses, projects they're working on, and show you their deals, and then you can ask questions. We call that experiential learning. Bring a notebook. Bring a notebook. Sir, can you hold up your notebook? Yes, bring one of those. You're going to fill the entire thing with notes, so you're going to want to take a lot of notes. Pay attention, ask questions, take a lot of notes. If you're coming online, I recommend you come live. But if you have to come online, then turn on your camera, ask questions, stay engaged. I tell everybody I'm here to change your life, not just entertain you. If you're only looking for entertainment, I suggest you don't come to the workshop, and instead you should spend the weekend watching a Netflix marathon, because you could probably polish off 5 seasons of an excellent award-winning show over 3 days. But if you want to get your life changed, you're going to walk out of the workshop with a plan, and not like a theoretical, sounds like a good idea plan, a tested proven plan. I'm going to take you through numerous exercises, so you're going to walk out of there with a business plan tuned to you and your budget of time and money to apply to different marketing activities to actually get this to work. Okay, how much time or experience do I need to do this? 75% of the people that come to the workshop are newbies. 25% are experienced investors, but they're coming to learn some of the advanced stuff that only we teach. Can I bring my significant other? I highly recommend you drag them by force if necessary. And I'll tell you why. If you come to the workshop and you don't drag your significant other with you, here's what's going to happen. I know. I'm going to teach you how to do some really cool stuff. You're going to go find a house. You're going to go home. You're going to say, honey, guess what? We're buying a house. And what do you think honey's going to say if honey was not at the workshop? Are you crazy? You're going to get us arrested. You're going to lose all our money, blah, 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 blah. I promise I will make this fun and exciting. I can't tell you how many people have dragged somebody to the workshop and they become the ones to pick up the ball and run with it. But just getting them exposed, they will be much more supportive. And yes, if you join the REIA, guess what? Your significant other comes as a VIP. So get them that for Christmas. How do I know this is the real deal? My advice, don't ask me. Why don't you ask somebody that's done it already? So I invite everybody that I've trained to give me feedback. We have feedback forms. And I say, give me feedback, handwritten. Don't believe stuff you see on the internet. Only believe handwritten feedback. So I have them fill out a feedback form. We scan all the forms. We post them on the internet for the whole world to see. So why would I post every single feedback form and post it online for the whole world to see? Go look for yourself. Go to that link and go look for yourself. And I'm going to tell you what you're going to see. You're going to see thousands of feedback forms. And I'm also going to tell you 99 out of 100 say exactly the same thing. Oh my God, this was literally a life-changing experience. You know who gives us the best feedback? Some of the people that go to those out-of-state national guru Yahoo guys, and they're like, that sucked. This is the real deal. Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas. Where do I get my tickets? When you fill out the form, we're going to collect the forms right outside the door. When you leave, we're going to get you a seat. Join the REIA. We're going to give you tickets and your poster and get you started. We're also going to email you and text you. And then right before the event, we're going to call you a day or two before. Hold on just a second, I'll get your questions. We're going to call you a day or two before to RSVP you. If for some reason you have some conflict or something, we got to figure out how many people are coming live, how many people are coming online. If you have a conflict or something, we can reschedule you at that time. You want even more help? Join the freaking REIA. That's where you can interact with me and everybody else.